Good evening and welcome to the Tessa-Marie show. It's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight on the Tessa-Marie show, we are going to be featuring the pillar of mental prosperity. Now, mental prosperity is one of the 5 pillars of prosperity. Tonight, though, we are going to take it to another level. When we hear mental health, we always think of somebody that is not really there and they're having a stressful time and the mental capability is gone. And we are looking at something that when somebody says, I'm mentally not there or I'm mentally not doing well, we sometimes don't really get it and we are upset and frightened, and sometimes, they might say, well, that person is going off their mind. But we are taking mental prosperity to another level tonight. Tonight, I am taking mental prosperity to a place where it will make it a little bit different for you. We have never done mental prosperity that way before. I have never talked about it. And the thing is that this is not unique to use our mental capabilities that way. But because everything really, honestly, starts with our mind. And one of the things about this mental prosperity pillar is that we always see mental as an illness. And it is. There is mental illness, and it is. But the thing about mental prosperity is, rather than we have been looking at it, and many people do, as an illness, and we bring it up and we look at it as an illness all the time. But what I want to do tonight is move it away from an illness and move it into an area where our mental health can improve our life. Everything we do starts in our mind. So if it starts in our mind, where are we going with it? That's where it begins. Every thought we have and everything begins in our mind. The biggest of creations all start in the mind. People know that, but we don't really acknowledge it. We just see mental prosperity as a weakness because we think the person is sick, and yet it is in our mind that all great inventions have started. So why is mental prosperity always looked about as something that is negative? We don't have it. So I decided to shift it a bit. And in shifting it, I am wondering, what are you thinking? What is she saying? She's shifting mental prosperity from the mind, and I'm putting it out there in a different way. No. I am saying, let us use our mind to create the life we want. Because every thought that follows, every thought that comes before an action that creates a deed started in the recesses of our mind. So this is why I wanted to go tonight, dig deeper and work into the recesses of our mind and find the root of our success, because that is where it lays. If our thoughts are doing at the beginning of all of these things, then therefore the root of success is lying deep in there too. So we are shifting the mind from the medical way, and I'm going to use it going forward for us to see what we can do with this wonderful mind of ours. Because mental health, mental prosperity is the ability to control those things. And I know how to do this because I have worked on myself to control my mind and make my mind do for me what I want it to do. So this is why I decided today, and I was so pumped when I realized it. I said, so if we're not wondering what do we do with it, we can, because we can create with that mind. Because unconsciously, we create with the mind all the time. We do that so unconscious. We do that all the time. We step into situations and we using our mind, but we are not conscious. Again, it's a matter of being in the moment. So what I want to teach you tonight is to show you how you can go down into the recesses of your mind and create the life you want with success. How do you do that? And well, that's what I know how to do. Our mind, they say, has 60 to 70,000 thoughts. That's what they say. And we know that. But the thing about it, it was said that they will create those same thoughts day after day after day. If we're doing that, why isn't our life changing in drastic manners to enable us to live this wonderful and amazing life that we should live? We are using our mind, but we are not using the mind to do what we want it to do. We let our mind loose. Our mind has to be harnessed. Our mental, that mind has to be harnessed. That's why we go to school. During that period of time, they're grasping our mind and they're making us follow rules and regulations to come out and be there. They give us 4 years to get a degree. So there is power in our mind, but we weren't taught to actually harness it. And our mind is like a truant child, a misbehaving human being. If we don't take that mind and harness it and place it like we do a bridle on a horse, and we hold that horse and keep it on the straight road. Or when you see them put these big things across the cow's head so it plows the field, it's dragging the thing behind it. This is harnessing the power. And that is what our mind, we have to do with our mind. We let our mind run loose. We do not stop it in its track and say, you know what, over here, over here, over here. We just let it go, 60 to 70 of the same thoughts every day. I wonder if we took a look at them, what would we see? 60 to 70,000 thoughts. Can you imagine? We would be amazed and completely in awe of what we're seeing. But yet, we're in control of this piece of muscle. We're in control of this mind. We have control over it. So why weren't we taught somewhere along the journey of life to use it in a way to master it, to develop mastery of our mental prosperity pillar? We were never taught to develop mastery of that pillar. As a matter of fact, nobody told us we could have mastery over all the 5 pillars. They're in our control. But somewhere along the line, the lessons were only given halfway, like all lessons do. They take us as far as there, leave us on that unfinished path, and expect us to plow through. Some of us are fortunate because we are born seekers. And we go looking for more. We're questioning the whys and the how comes and the where. Right? But then there are others who, wherever they're left on that journey, on that unfinished path, they sit there. They just stay there. Or we could say they wallow in their misery. But they don't even know they're wallowing in misery, because they don't even know they're in misery because they know not better. But tonight I am here to tell you that are here with me that your mind is in your control. And there are steps and things you can do to get it there. And this is what I know. These are the techniques I offered in the reel today. When I realized where I was going, I got so hyped, I sent another reel. Because I realized the power of what I had to share. Hoping that you would be there to get that information firsthand. You can play it and listen to it, but to be there in the moment and grasp what I am saying and learn how to harness the power of your mind to create the life you want is fabulous. There's nothing else, no other word to describe it. In itself, it's a miracle. The pillar of mental prosperity, to get it to do what you want under all circumstances, it's a miracle. That pillar meant we keep that mind of ours and we let it go loose, it will go loose. We know that already, and it just keeps going. It even gets tired to a point where it goes to 70,000 thoughts a day and it freezes. Nobody is telling it you can go further. Harnessing the power of that mind and bringing it to control it, to make it do what you want to do in a positive way for your betterment of your life, to live a fulfilled life, is amazing. It is one of the most amazing things we can do for ourselves, and I came across it just like that. When we hear mental prosperity, we think of the dark side of mental health. We think of those people that are straining. So you know what? That exists. Obviously, it cannot be fixed. They're fixing the symptom and not the cause. What I am going to teach you from now on is to look at mental prosperity as something that you can harness, and you can use it to the betterment of self and your family, and you can teach others to use that mental capability to do exactly what you want. Mental health is not always bad, I found out. Mental health, taking that mind and harnessing the energy of that mind and making it do what you want, is proper mental prosperity. It's bringing it to the highest level. It's to make it create the desires of your heart. It's to get your fulfilled life in front of you, because you're taking that which is yours, that which you can mold like a potter molds a piece of clay. If the potter leaves the clay outside and it gets wet today and too much rain, it will turn to slush and mud and he can do nothing with it. If the potter leaves his clay uncovered without a wet cloth on it, in the sun it will dry and crack and he cannot create with it. So we are leaving our mind in the same situation as the potter who neglects his clay. The clay is what gives the potter his ability to earn a living. Our mind is what gives us the ability to become something else, to earn a living and live a fulfilled life. A life where we can do whatever we have, a home of our own, drive a car, go on vacation, be debt free. That's what we can do with that mind of ours. But if, like the potter, we neglect to harness it, we neglect to cover it with a wet cloth to keep the clay moist, so the potter can manipulate it and shape a vessel to be used from it. If the potter is careless and leaves it out in the rain and it turns to mud, he can no longer gather it together. And that's what we are doing with our brain, with that mind that we have. So that's why I got so excited today when I realized what we were doing. We are leaving this piece of clay in that we call our mind unattended. We are leaving this piece of clay that we call our mind unharnessed. And it goes here and there and everywhere except where it should take us for the success we crave. So this is why I'm asking you, let us dig deep into the recesses of your mind to find the root of your success. And it is simple. It is so simple. This is what you have to do. You must take your mind on the journey you intend to take it. You cannot leave it on the path without taking it all the way. It's not going to move without you. It will sit there and it will rot. It will not plow without you with it. Your mind has to be harnessed every day, each and every day. How do you harness your mind? You begin with knowing that you are in control. This thing has so much energy. Somebody said it has electrical currents that can actually, when properly fused, can actually cause a fire. And maybe we've seen that in fiction. But they say it can really happen, and it does happen. So let us take our mind and let me show you how. I can teach you how to do this. So I hope you're on me with this. I hope you're staying on me with this, because it's important and invaluable. You take your time. Your mind creates your desire. That's where it starts. It creates that thought. And then we walk away. We leave it alone. But we need to dig into the recesses of the mind to find this success of that thought. So, if that thought is not an empowering thought, should we pay attention to it? Or should we now take the time to shift it to where we want? It's like driving a horse, driving a car. We don't let the car go. We put it to go where we want it to go. And that's what we need to do with our mind. You begin by doing this. You start to write your desires down. You start to write what you desire in your life down, whether it's one thing. And each day you should have a desire for the day. What do you desire to accomplish today? Write it down. You can even go closer and tighter to this. Write down what you want to accomplish in the first hour upon awakening. What do you want to accomplish? Tell your mind, send the message before it takes off and go to Timbuktu. Before it starts looking at craziness and madness. Before it starts believing all the nonsense it says. So because it starts creating hateful feelings towards friends and family and people you don't even know and you have never met. And you have such harsh, hurtful feelings because we have left our mind unattended. It's like a child that is not corrected when they're growing up. They will do whatever they do. There is a parable that goes this way. There was a young man that was being sent to jail for a long, long time. And the judge called him and said to him, "Do you have anything to say?" He said, "Can I talk to my mother for a little bit?" And his mother came up, and when she came close to him, he went close to her ears. "It's not nice what I'm going to say." And he bit her ear off. And he looked at her and he said, "If you had only corrected me when I was smaller, I wouldn't have been in this position today. All you had to do was to pull on my ear. I just didn't know." That is what we're letting happen to our mind. We're letting our mind go wherever it wants to go. But yet, our mind is the thought. That's where the good thing comes. But if we do not let it go, it will grow wild. It's like the seeds that you sow. If you're sowing seeds and the weeds come, you must pull the weeds from the seed. My garden is beautiful. I have to weed it all the time. I must pull away the weeds for you to see the beautiful flowers that I show you. Our garden of our mind needs the same care to create. So it is difficult to do that. It is difficult to stay online, but attainable and doable. So I am asking you to start with a simple exercise. Decide what you want to accomplish in the first hour, the first 3 hours of your day, and write it down. The minute you write it down, your mind is going to take charge. The minute you say to your mind, "I don't want you thinking bad about this person or that person. I want you to think about what I'm writing." So before you sit to write, and writing is powerful. I did not say on a device. For goodness sake, leave those things on where they belong. We are so not in the time with our simple writing that we go out to dinner. We're in the same space with somebody, but we're both not in the moment. How can we create if we're constantly, there is a person in front of us having a meal with us, and we are both clicking? The mind is doing its thing, and we are just like sheep being led to slaughter. So you get yourself started in the morning the right way. Write what you want to accomplish for a few hours of the day. And it's like you're saying to your mind, "This is where I want you to be today." Write that down. You say to your mind when you get this paper down, I am not joking, this is magical. You have this notebook, you date it, you time it, you write your name, and you say, Dear Mind. You call it Mr. Mind. You give it a name. You call it and you give it a name. Mr. Creator of all thoughts. Anything you want. I call my mind the thought creator. And I said, okay, thought creator, let me tell you what I desire to accomplish today. And then the girl writes. But I started writing a few things at a time. Not for the entire day, for so many hours in the day. So I would have stuff from waking to lunch. Then I would have from lunch to 6. And then I would have the rest to bedtime. And I started that at the bank. And these were the desires, the things I wanted to accomplish for the day. And you must harness it, because the minute you tell your mind you've got to work on this, it's going to work on this. And every time you find it strained, like the mother did not do, you pull your mind by the ears and said, no, we're not going here today. We don't have time to talk about my sister-in-law today. We don't have time to talk about the people who criticize us today. We don't have time to talk about all the nasty things our mother or father-in-law does and the family that don't love us. No, we cannot change their opinion of us, but I can change how successful I am. And your mind is what you have to use to do this. So this is what I wanted to bring to you guys tonight. How to access that powerful machine called your mind and make it work for you, where you can mold it like the potter molds his clay into what shape and form he wants. It's like Michelangelo chiseling at that piece of marble to create his David. Where is our David? It's time we learn to create our own David instead of standing in Rome and staring at Michelangelo's David. Or going through the Sistine Chapel and see how he depicted the hand of God in creation. Where is our creation? It's the mind. It's the mind. We need to harness the power of our mind. We need to acknowledge our mind is powerful. You don't need 20 degrees. You don't need to have gone to Yale, to University of Toronto, to Oxford, to Cambridge to create. You can create right where you were standing. Michelangelo, when he painted, was a sculpture. And if you ever saw the Sistine Chapel, you'd wonder, because it looks like the picture, the face of God was jumping at you. It looked like the hand of God was pointing at you. He used his mind to create what he saw. And this is what we have to do. But we need to be in the moment and realize we can talk to this piece of muscle. We can train it to behave. Like a trainer trains his muscle, the biceps to be big and we can do that with the mind. So we have to dig deep into the recesses of the mind to find the root of our success. Because all our thoughts starts there. Those thoughts start there. And once these thoughts are there, they get into the action. And the action becomes the creation. What do we do with it? In order to plan this, in order to live a life of success, the number one thing we need to do is start the day by writing what we desire to accomplish today. It could be to cut your nails. I don't care. If you didn't cut your nails and you wanted to do it, then you didn't get your mind to follow you today. You went astray. And when you are astray, different energies come to your mind and cause you to do different things. Some things that you did not want to do, and then you live to regret it. So my message to you on this evening of mental prosperity is what it is you are going to do to dig into the recesses of your mind and to find the root of your success. I want to do this with you for a long, long time. And I want you to come and get a 15-20 minute of how this is done. And when you have it under control, then you can learn more, you can develop more, you can do it. But again, it's like talking to your mind. It's like talking to a child in the morning. It's like talking to somebody who comes to do something for you. Say, I'm going to pay you to clean the house. I want you to start with the kitchen. Or I want you to start in the bathroom. I want you to weed the lawn. I want you to do the laundry and iron the clothes. So you're telling this other human being what you want them to do, yet you have a muscle that can do whatever you want, and we're ignoring it. We can create our own Sistine Chapel and our Michelangelo, and we are afraid to dwell with it. Write a letter in the morning and say to your mind, I told you, my mind has a name. Give your mind a name. I call it Lucy. I don't care what you call it. Hey Lucy, we're on. Let's get this going. This is what we have to do today, and stay on track. Don't wander down the lane. Don't run around the mulberry bush. Talk to it. People will think you're crazy, but when you're successful, they will not understand you were crazy. They'll say, oh my God, you're so successful. Yes, I am. While you were calling me crazy, I was creating the life of my dreams.